In this video, I wanted to introduce you to a free Cisco CCNA lab guide that's provided by Flackbox at flackbox.com. I'm currently taking the CCNA Gold Bootcamp course from Neil Anderson. He's the teacher, but you do not have to be taking the course to get this lab guide. It's totally free, and I thought it would be fun to walk through some of the labs that are available in there. So let's get started with the first one. The first couple of labs, I think, are just basic walkthroughs where he gives you all the commands and you just basically are copying what he has, and then later you have the instructions plus an answer key. So this first one, let's just get started. This is for a lab on the iOS operating system, and it says this lab explores basic navigation of the operating system. And we only need a single device. So we'll scroll down here and let's get started. So the first thing to do is click on router 0, which is here, and then the command line tab to access the console, which is here. We'll want to press return to get started, and then the first thing we want to do is enter privilege exec mode, and to do that you just type in enable and you'll see the prompt changes here. So let's go to the next step. And he wants us to reboot the device. So let's reboot the device and proceed with reload. We'll hit yes. And it'll take a couple minutes to go through. And you'll see there's information as it's loading up. In Packet Tracer, if you don't feel like waiting, you can always fast forward in time with this button. I think it goes ahead, what, 30 seconds? Yeah, it looks like roughly 30 seconds. And anyway, so back to the lab. Would you like to enter initial configuration dialog? You're always going to hit no for that unless you just want to see what it's like to walk through that. So we rebooted the device. It prompted to enter the initial configuration dialog. We said no. Now we're going to explore the user exec mode and command line interface command help. So right here you'll see that we're in user exec mode, which is indicated by this right here. It's just this prompt. And that'll change as you go through the various modes. So the next thing he's saying is enter a question mark to explore the commands that are available in user exec mode. So to do that, you hit the question mark and it'll pop up and it'll show you there's really a limited amount of things you can do in user exec mode. You need to be in privileged exec mode to really get into a lot of stuff. So now let's go to the next thing that he suggests is enter the show run command. So we're going to do what that says, and we just took show run, and show run is an abbreviation for show running config, which is your current configuration. And when we did that, we get the invalid input detected here. And this is a valid command, but we're in the wrong mode for that to work. And as he says here, this is the most common issue to trip up beginners. Make sure you're in the right mode. So let's move on to exploring privilege exec mode, or enable mode as some people call it, and the context sensitive help. So to enter privilege exec mode, the command is enable. You can either type that out, or you can just type en, or you could start typing en and hit tab and it'll fill it for you. Hit enter and you see the prompt changes here. So now we're in privilege exec mode. To drop back to, let's drop back to user exec mode. You just type disable and we go back to user exec mode. To get back, and now it says go back to privilege exec mode by using the shorten command abbreviation, which we covered. So enable. And command abbreviations only work when you enter letters which could be match one unique command. So for example, if we just try, we did the command disable up here, but if you just try to do di and hit enter, it's not going to work. It says it's an ambiguous command. And the reason for that is when you put in a question mark after the first couple of letters, it'll show you what commands are available. So you have dir, disable, disconnect. So it doesn't know which to choose from. So you need to type in a little bit more. And dis, well, that won't work because you have two commands that start with dis. So we need to go a little bit further, disc, disa. So if you hit disa, hit enter, then it works. Okay, so that's pretty easy. We did check to see the commands. We can see that the shortest combination is DISA, yes. We can access detailed information and debug output in privilege exec mode. So let's get back into privilege exec mode, and we'll check to see all commands that begin with the letters SH. And to do that, you type SH and a question mark, and then it'll show you what's available. And the only thing that's available starting with SH is the show command. All right, that's the only command available. And now we can hit the show SH, or you could even type out show, either way. Put a space, then a question mark, and then you'll see all available show commands. So let's open this up a little bit more. Okay. So this is the context-sensitive help for the show command, and you have quite a bit of information. And when you see the more, you can either hit your enter key, which will go one line at a time, or you can hit your space bar, which will jump down one screen at a time, which is much faster. And he pointed out, press the enter key, you go one line at a time, and then space bar, you go a screen at a time. And next thing they want us to do is check the possible options for the show AAA command. We're using AAA for illustrative purposes only. Don't worry about the meanings. Okay, so show and then AAA, and then we're going to put a space and then a question mark. And the context-sensitive help is going to show us the next available commands after AAA that we could use. So we could do AAA local, AAA sessions, or user. So he wants us to enter SH for show, AAA, US, and then hit the tab key to see the tab completion in action. So I've already got show, AAA, and then I'll type US, and then I'm going to hit the tab key, and you see it filled it in because there's only one option for that, which is user. The tab key completes partially entered commands for you, and it's only going to work when you've entered enough letters to be a unique match. So like, let's see what happens when we do just that. Well, there's only users available there under AAA. All right, so now he says to enter the command sh AAA user all, and we're going to do that, and nothing happened, right? Well, actually something did happen. First of all, you didn't get an error message, so that's good. And what it's saying is, basically this is telling you there's nothing to show. AAA has not been configured. And the command line will simply return to the enable prompt because there's nothing to show. The next step we want to take is enter the command. He looks like he wants us to purposely create an error. So sh for show, AAA, and then USOR, which is misspelling, and then we're going to hit enter, and then we get the invalid input detected at the marker, which is right here. If you enter an illegal command, you'll get an error message. And in this case, we made a typo, and the command line is simply warning us that invalid input was detected at this point. Okay, so now he wants us to enter the command sh show AAA and hit enter. And this is telling us now this is an incomplete command. You need to tell the router more information about what you plan to do. And it says here, the router warns us that we've entered an incomplete command and we need to enter additional input. And if you wanted to know what additional input you could use, you can type sh for show, and then AAA, and then question mark, and then it'll show you what you could include with it to make it a complete command. Now he wants us to explore global configuration mode. So to enter global configuration mode, the command is configure terminal. Get this out of the way so you can see that. And you can also abbreviate configure terminal to just CompT. Okay. You'll notice here that the prompt changed to this router config, which is global configuration, shows you're in global configuration mode. And in global configuration mode, you can make configuration changes that affect the whole device. There's also interface configuration mode, where you can enter commands that only affect a specific interface, etc., etc. But global configuration mode is where you're going to do things to affect the device as a whole. The next step he wants us to do is add a couple of host entries, and he says don't worry about this command for now. This is just for illustration. So we're at the global configuration prompt, and he wants us to type in IP host, and let me move this out of the way, server 1 with an IP address 1.1.1.1, and also IP host server 2 with an IP of 2.2.2.2, and we hit enter. Okay, and now he's asking us to attempt to change the host name of the device to R1. Well, right now the name of the device is router, and you'll see that there at the prompt. So right now it's called router, and he's saying attempt to change the host name by entering the command R1. Okay, well, let's try it. It's not going to work, but we're going to try it. And you get an invalid input detected at the marker, which is here. And he's saying, well, the reason for that is we forgot to enter the host name keyword at the start of the command. So you can hit the up arrow on your keyboard to cycle back through previous commands. There it is. And you can use Control A and Control E to jump to the beginning and the end of the line. So we'll watch the cursor here. It'll jump before the R when I hit Control A. When I hit Control E, it'll jump to the end. If I hit Control U, it'll just erase it. And you can still bring up your, using your up-down arrow keys to bring up the previous commands. So he says enter Control A. We went through that. Now we want to go ahead and actually enter in the proper command, which is hostname R1. Let me get this out of the way. So when I hit enter, you're going to notice this says router right now. We're changing it to the host name of R1. This will change to R1. Let's hit enter, and there you go. It's changed to R1. So he's saying now hit your up arrow repeatedly to cycle back through your previous command history, and then the down arrow to cycle back through again. And you can see the different commands that we'd issued going up and back now. Now, keep in mind the command history is specific to the current mode you're in. So we won't see the commands that we showed at privilege exec mode here when we cycle through, just in the global configuration mode. All right, so now he's saying next thing we want to do is enter the command show IP interface brief to check which interfaces are available in the router. So the command is show IP interface. You can either type it out or you can partially type it, and it won't work for the tab here. And he's about to show us that show IP interface brief, and you get an error. And the reason for that is even though we typed it out correctly, show commands are run in privilege exec mode. So show commands are here, and remember you can put the question mark, and you can see there's a lot of show commands available there. But if you go into global configuration mode, comp T for short for configure terminal, and then you type show and then the question mark, it's an unrecognized command. Show command works at privilege exec mode, so one mode down, so to speak, from where we are now. And now it's pointing out you can override this for show commands by entering do at the start of the command. So as we can see, when we show IP interface brief, as we did before, we're going to get an error message, invalid input. But if you type the do command, so do in front of it, do show IP interface brief, then it works. And basically the do command allows you to override the mode that you're in to show the command that you want to show. And that's super, super helpful. You're going to use that a lot. Now it says enter the correct command to check what interfaces are available from global configuration mode. So we're going to do the do show IP interface brief again, and we see those there. Pull this out a little bit for you, and it gives you information. Here's the command we issued. It's going to show you information about the particular interfaces. If any IP addresses have been assigned, which they haven't yet, it'll tell you the status and the protocol. And you'll see what this means a little bit later. Now it's saying enter interface configuration mode for one of your interfaces. So these are our available interfaces: Gigabit Ethernet 00, 01, and 02. And to get into interface configuration mode, you type, move this out of the way, interface, and then the name of the interface you want to use, which is Gigabit Ethernet. So you can start typing it out and hit the tab. It's easier, it'll fill it in for you. And we'll start with 00. And now you see the command prompt changed to show that we're in interface configuration mode. Now, if we want to drop back down to global configuration mode, you can hit exit. And exit will drop you back down one level. Now he's asking us to hit the up arrow and go back into interface configuration mode. So again, you can use the up arrow to cycle through commands you previously issued at this mode. And there it is, interface Gigabit Ethernet 00. We'll hit enter. We're back in there. We're back into interface configuration mode. See the next step he wants us to take. Now he's saying drop all the way back down to privilege exec mode with a single command, and that single command is end. And then let me hit enter, and we're back to privilege exec mode. And it says here the end command drops back down to privilege exec mode from any level. You can also achieve this by entering Control C. So let's go back, and we'll do that. And then we can hit. So we're in global configuration mode, as you can see here by the prompt, and it's just saying hit Control C, and it'll drop you back down again. So that's the same as typing in. Now it's saying view the entire device configuration, and to do that, you issue the show running this out of the way config command, and you could also, and I'll come back to that in a second. There's the show running config command. You could also abbreviate that just to show run, and that would work. And you can view the entire device configuration. So here's the host name, R1. We had changed that. It gives you a lot of different IPv6 and set up. Here's the commands that we set for the IP host server 1 and 2. Gives you information about spanning tree, the different interfaces. So like, for example, Ethernet 0, Gigabit Ethernet 00, there's no IP address assigned yet. Duplex is auto, speed is auto, and it's currently shut down. Let's see what he wants us to look at now. So it says view entire configuration starting from the host name, which is here, right there. Okay. And it says, note that the iOS command line is not case sensitive except when we pipe commands. Okay, so let's show that. And we're going to hit Q and packet tracer here. And so piping commands is the idea of taking a command like the show running config command. Okay, or you could just simply abbreviate it as sh run. And then you use the little pipe symbol, which on my keyboard is above the enter key. And then the next command you want to issue, which is begin. So you're saying take the contents of show running config and pipe it into the begin command. Begin with hostname. Okay, and when we do that, we'll hit enter, and here we entered hostname with a capital letter at the start, but this is not how it is shown in the configuration. So again, when we go back up to the configuration here, see, hostname is actually lowercase h. That's why it didn't work. Now, if we cycle through the commands by hitting the up arrow, and we change that to lowercase h, it works. And see, it starts off here. Here was our command show running config. Pipe it to the begin with hostname, and that's where it began, hostname R1, and it is case sensitive. Okay. Now he's telling us to view all configuration lines which do not include the word interface. Okay, so I'll hit Q to pop out of that, and to issue that command, it's show run. We're going to pipe it out to exclude interface. So we don't want to see the lines that include the word interface. If we scroll back up here a bit, when we just did the basic show running config command, you'll see here as we scroll down, that we got information about the interfaces. Well, this command is telling the system exclude that. We want to see everything but that. So we'll hit the enter key, and now here's our command, show run, exclude interface. As we scroll down, you're not going to see the interface information that we previously saw. And I'm hitting the space bar to just jump through. So see, it's gone. It's been pulled out. You don't see those lines. Okay, let's see what the next thing he wants us to do. All right, now we're going to get into iOS configuration management. Copy the running configuration to the startup configuration. So to do that, the command is copy running config to startup config. Okay, and you hit enter. It asks, is the destination file going to be startup config? Yes. Okay, and you're done. You've copied your running configuration, and that's what we've been working on, like when we changed the host name. And now that's been copied to startup configuration, so next time you boot up the machine, it'll come up and it'll be defaulted at R1 as the host name. You can also do, here he showed the abbreviated version of copy run start. So instead of typing out all of this, copy running config to startup config, you can just type copy run start, and it'll do the same thing. And it knows you're talking about the startup configuration file because that's going to be the only name available. So you just hit enter and that's done. All right, now he asks us to change the host name of the router to router X. To do that, you got to get into global configuration mode, which is done by entering the command comp T or configure terminal. And to assign a new host name, currently it's R1. We're going to change it to the host name the command is host name, and we're going to change it to router X. And then when you hit enter, you'll notice here at the prompt, it'll change to router X, and there it goes. It's changed to router X. So that's completed. Check what host name will be used when the system reboots. Okay, so we're going to issue the do show startup config. So right now we've been working on the running configuration, the configuration that we're currently running, but the startup configuration is what'll boot up. So he's saying issue the do show startup config command. So do show startup config. Okay, and then you'll see here in the startup configuration, although we changed the host name to router X in the running configuration, we haven't saved it to the startup configuration. So if you were to reboot, it would come and show as R1 still. So commands that you issue in your running configuration, like changing the host name to router X, they take effect immediately, but to save those, you have to save them to the startup configuration. All right, so now he's asking us to save the current running configuration so it'll be applied the next time the router is reloaded. And to do that, you just hit I got to drop down a level and into privilege exec mode, and then copy run start. Now it's going to say destination file name startup config. I'm just going to hit yes to that. That's what you want to keep it. And then he's saying verify the new host name will be applied following a reboot. So you can hit the show start command, and you'll see here that the host name is now router X when it reboots. So you copied the running configuration to the startup configuration, and when it reboots, the host name will be router X. And we'll hit the Q to jump out of that. And he's saying now to back up the current running configuration to flash memory in the router. Okay, to do that, you just issue the command copy run, which is copy your running configuration to flash. And flash is on your router, and you'll hit enter. And it'll say the destination file name is running config, and you're going to hit enter because yes, it is. Now he points out it's not a good idea to back up a device to the device itself. So enter the command to back the running configuration up to an external TFTP server. Okay, so a TFTP server is a good place to store your backups because, as he pointed out, you don't want to keep a backup of your configurations on the device in case the device crashes. You wouldn't be able to get to your backups. So store your backups elsewhere. So to do that, we issue the copy run TFTP command, copy run TFTP, hit enter, and it's going to ask for the address or name of the remote host. We're going to enter, he's just saying enter 10, 10, 10, 10. So we'll do that. And okay, and we hit enter. Is the destination file name router X config? Well, that's fine. Just hit enter. And then it'll try to run for a little bit, and it's going to time out and fail because we don't have a TFTP server set up in this topology. All we have right now is this router. So I'm going to go ahead and jump forward in time. On Packet Tracer, you just hit this little button here, and you'll see we jumped forward, so we don't have to wait to that. Okay, now he's saying to, and it points out the command will try to run for a while and then time out because we didn't set up connectivity to a TFTP server in the lab. All right, it says now to reload the device and check it comes back with the expected configuration with hostname router X. So let's do that. Reload. And it's going to ask us, do you want to proceed with the reload? You just hit enter, and that'll take a moment. And then I'm going to scroll up, and that's actually the end of this particular lab. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump forward in time, and we'll confirm by hitting enter. And we're going to do, you can do a show version. And, oh, I'm sorry, not show version. We want to do show running config. We need to get into Approach Exec mode and then show running config, and you'll see now that it's coming up with router X. So that's it. That's the first lab in the Flackbox free download. Let me see if I've got that up here. So again, you just go to flackbox.com. Look for this on the home page. It's a free download. It's got tons of labs in it. A great way to learn. And you can get this regardless of whether you're taking any of his classes or not. I'm taking his CCNA Gold Bootcamp, but you don't need it. So hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.